What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Game Night YouTube channel. In today's video, guys, I've got an update on Crypt Crawler. This is my dungeon crawler mint tin game that I've been working on for the past several months, and I've got quite the update for you guys. So we're here inside of Tabletop Simulator. This is a game on Steam where you could play board games and you can simulate all of those digitally within this little tabletop simulator game. So that's what we're using for this video, and that's what I've been play testing Crypt Crawler in. Also, a bunch of other people have been playtesting the game. If you want to get in on that, check the links down below in the description, and I'll put a link to the Steam workshop that you need to go to get this little game right here within Tabletop Simulator. And also, I will paste a link for the Game Night Discord channel. We've been chatting it up over there about all things Crypt Crawler and tabletop gaming in general, so you can come hang out and join in on the conversation over that way in the Discord. But today's video, I'm just going over an update real quick for you guys to show you what has been changed with the game. So first major thing that's changed to the game is the look of all of the cards. So I've added this white outline to all of the symbols, the art frame, even the art itself, as you can see here for the human. He's got the nice white outline around him. And yeah, all the little symbols. See on these cards, everything's outlined in white. Even on the weapons, on the starting gear, which we'll get into, that's a new thing. We've got potions, that's also new. But yeah, everything is just, it's popping, man. It looks so good with that white outline on everything. You can see the enemies down here. Like, check out, where's the demon? Let's look at the demon, dude. Look at him with that white outline. It's popping. That looks so good. He's just like popping out of the picture. You know what I mean? It just adds so much flair to the card, and it just looks better. It looks more professional. I really like the way that looks. It's not as flat anymore. It did look good before, but it looks even better now with these white outlines. So I went through every single card and gave it that new treatment. Took a little bit, but it was worth doing. And yeah, everything looks great. So that's where we're at with that as far as the visual aesthetic of the game goes. I had 2 extra classes in the game. I had an orc, and I also had a, 2 extra races. I had an orc, and I also had a dwarf, and then I had 2 extra classes. It was the necromancer and the cleric. Those have been cut temporarily because they're not going to fit in the tin. So my original and current vision for Crypt Crawler is to make a mint tin game that is going to fit inside of a standard mint tin. I've had a couple people say, you know, oh, you could make it in a bigger tin or a bigger box game. I could do that, but that's not my goal. It's not my vision. Part of the allure of making this game was to make it a mint tin game that can fit all of this content within this tiny little mint tin. So that being said, I do have plans to release an expansion for Crypt Crawler. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but I do have plans to release an expansion for the game at some point in the future, and that will include those new characters. So those new races, or those cut races and classes that I had to cut from the game, those will be included along with a bunch of other new content. And I intend to release that in one of the tall mint tins so that you can fit more material, more cards and everything within that mint tin. But for the original release of Crypt Crawler, I want to stick to the classic little mint tin. So I had to cut a couple things, and that was mainly it. I have added some things. I've added in some starting gear. So now you get starting gear. There's 2 little starting gear cards. They are double-sided, and there are 2 pieces of gear on either side of the card. If we zoom in here, you can see like we got a staff on one side, then we got the dull blade on the other. All you have to do is just flip the card around, and boom, there you go. Same thing if you flip it over, you got a spear, and then if you spin it around, you've got the smoke. Over here, you got the shroom and the dart. And on the flip side, you've got the slingshot, and you've got the bread right there. So those are the starting gear, and those will be shown on the race card. So as you can see, for the human, he starts with the dull blade and the bread. On the flip side of that card, you've got the gnome, who starts with the staff and the shroom. The elf starts with the slingshot and the smoke. And last but not least, the reptoid starts with the spear and the dart. And I love the way the art looks for the reptoid. I believe that is new. I don't think he was drawn in the last update video, and he used to be called something else. It wasn't the reptoid. I think it was lizard folk. Yeah, it was the lizard folk. He's been changed to be the reptoid. So I love the way he came out. And yeah, so you'll get that starting equipment on your race card right there. Also, you can see I've updated the class cards a little bit. There's some little icons up at the top near the name banner, and that's to kind of help you distinguish the class a little bit. It gives it a little bit more flair, even though it's just a little tiny a tiny little, addition to the card. So you got the sword and the shield for the warrior. On the flip side of that card, we've got the wizard has a little spell book and a wand. Then we've got the ranger with his bow and arrow. And on the flip side, you got the rogue with a little shank or a dagger and some lockpick thieving tools over there on the right side. And of course, the rest of the card has stayed fairly the same. I've changed it so that the name of the skills is in red, and I think that looks really, really good. That red text pops off the card really well. And then, of course, we've got the white outline going around everything to make everything else really pop, and it looks really great. I've also rebalanced a lot of the skills. I've changed a couple of the skills, so all of that is much better now, much more balanced. There's been a lot of playtesting going on. So yeah, so we'll go ahead and move these over this way. That was the starting gear and the race and class cards. Then we've got the loot cards, of course, and they've got the same treatment as the rest of the cards with the white outlines. Looking really, really good. Looks incredible. We also have a new piece of loot. Let me go ahead and show you, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. So the common loot number 6 is now a mace instead of a health potion. Reason being, there are now potion cards. There's an extra little potion deck over here. So we've got the mace weapon. It's a two-handed weapon, and it ignores enemy toughness. That's a pretty good weapon to pick up early on in the dungeon and dish out some damage, ignoring enemy toughness. And yeah, it's balanced out since it is a two-handed weapon, and it doesn't do very much damage, but it's still good. Still good to get early on. So we got a new weapon added to the game. Some of the items have changed. A lot of the armor pieces, like the skull cap, it used to have 2 durability, now it has 3. Same thing for the tunic, it used to have 3 durability, now it has 4. And I've done that for several of the other pieces of armor. So now they last a little bit longer, they feel more resilient, and it just feels more worthwhile when you pick up those armors. So lots of balance changes to, some of the numbers and stuff like that to keep things feeling balanced. And then, as mentioned just a moment ago, we got this little potion deck here. So this is a new addition too. You can get potions now. So we've got 6 different potions, as you can see here. We've got a healing potion, does what you would think. You can discard it to heal 1d6 HP. Got a fear elixir. You can discard it to reduce your fear by 2. You've got a speed potion to increase your speed by 2 until the end of a single battle. And then on the flip sides of these cards, we've got the luck tonic. This one's very cool. You may discard this card to increase or decrease a single dice roll by 1. Any roll in the game. So if you're rolling for loot, you can decrease or increase that roll to get a particular loot that you might want. You could increase or lower rather one of your to hit rolls or your damage roll, or same thing for an enemy. Or if you're rolling on a loot table, which I'll show you in just a moment, you can increase or decrease that. So yeah, the luck tonic, very, very useful. We also have the strength potion, does what you think it would. You drink it, you discard it, and it increases your strength by 1 until the end of a single battle. Very good. And we got the poison antidote that you can discard, and that will remove 2 poison off of your character. So there we go. Those are the 6 different potions right there, all confined to 3 little mini cards. Those are going to be mini cards. All of these cards up here, actually, all of the loot, the potions, and the starting gear will all be the little mini cards, if you guys are familiar with that, with the Mint Tin games. These will be mini cards. The dungeon deck, the race cards, the class cards, and the shop will all be on Mint Tin sized cards, as well as the enemies will also be on Mint Tin sized cards. So that's all the new stuff up here with the loot on the flip side of all of these resolution cards, these dungeon cards rather, on the resolution side of the card, giving them the same treatment as well. We got white outlines around everything, looking really good. And I've also changed the way that you are able to tell what event you have to trigger depending on when you push your luck into a room. So, just for instance, say we were in a red diamond room and we're like, ooh, there's a warlock and 2 gold. The 2 gold is nice, but I don't want to fight the warlock. I'm going to push my luck. So you'd flip the next card and boom, right there, the ghost is in red text. So that is the one that you would have to resolve. That is the one of these that you would have to resolve. So I've changed that to red. You can see that's on every card. You would resolve the red text. And then, of course, the symbol that's next to the red text, whenever you push your luck, if it matches the symbol down here on the event, then the event pops off. And we just so happen to have a new event here. This is the Toxic Grove. Poisonous mushroom spores fill the warm, thick air. And then you would roll 1d6. I've also updated this to show these nice little d6 icons now. It's much cleaner looking. So if you roll a 1, 2, or 3, you'd get +1 poison. a 4 or a 5, you get 2 poison. A 6, you get 3 poison. And yeah, so I've done that for every event. All of those are looking nice and clean and updated. And yeah, it's looking really, really nice. The only thing left to do for these dungeon cards is I want to do the same thing I've done to every other card with the white outlines. I want to do that to the map side, the dungeon level map side of the cards as well. And I have started doing it, but I haven't completed all of them yet. I've got 2 of them finished. And then I'm gonna import those into Tabletop Simulator once they are done. So, and I'm also doing that to all the little symbols in the rooms as well to keep everything nice and cohesive and give it that nice white outline around everything, really make it pop. All right, so that's it for that little deck over there. I think that's most of the stuff over here. Then we've got the enemies, of course, as well down this way. Those have also gotten the same treatment as mentioned. So we've got, you know, this nice white border around everything. It looks so clean, so good. I've made some balance changes to several of the enemies. Here's one, the troll. He used to drop a loot chest, which is a new thing. I'm going to get into that in just a moment. Now he drops a rare loot, which is shown by the red gem there. I've also made some changes to some of the other enemies. For instance, the goblin, he is a little bit quicker. He had 2 speed, now he's got 3. He also does slightly less damage. When he rolled a 6 before, he would do 4 damage. Now he does 3. On the flip side of the card, we've got the orc. He used to be really fast. He had 5 speed. He is now down to 2 to reflect his big luggish orc nature. He would be a little bit slower, so that's been reflected by his speed there going down to 2. So just some little balance changes like that. There's been several of those. I'm not going to go through all of them, but all the enemies feel much more balanced now. It's feeling really, really good. I've been playtesting a lot. Been having other people playtest the game a lot, especially a longtime viewer of the channel, Schizoid. He has been instrumental. Is that the right word I'm looking for? Instrumental in helping me fine-tune the game and balance the game. He's been playtesting the game a lot and making spreadsheets and charts and all kinds of stuff and sharing feedback with me, and that's been very, very helpful. So I've been doing the same thing, keeping notes of my wins and losses with certain characters and everything, and kind of combining that data together, and that's helping balance the game a lot. So been several changes there. You might notice here too, I've got the boss cards pretty much done. The boss cards are done, but there's no artwork, as you can see here. So we've got no Demon Lord, no Sorcerer. This used to be called the Necromancer, by the way. He's now called the Sorcerer, mainly because I intend on releasing a Necromancer class in the future, and I don't want there to be any confusion. So he's called the Sorcerer now. We've got the Giant, and we've got the Dragon over here. And yeah, you might think that they all drink invisibility potions, but no, that's not the case. I haven't done the artwork yet. That is next up on my to-do list for Crypt Crawler. So I'm going to be doing the artwork for those 4. And it's pretty fitting that they're the 4 final bosses, and that's the 4 final artworks that I have to do for the game. So that's my final boss, is the art for the bosses right there. So those are looking great. Of course, we got the little soul crystal symbols right here that will denote which boss you fight, depending on which 3 soul crystals you pull during the game, of the 4 different colors that you can get, of course. There we go. And they have a similar layout to the regular enemy cards, as you can see here. You know, they have their attack here, just like the regular enemies, except they're not going to drop any loot, because once you beat the boss, you beat the game. There's no sense in getting any loot from them. And then, of course, they have their stats down here. They have some pretty beefy stats since they are the bosses, of course. So there we go. Those are the bosses. Just got to get to the artwork. That is coming very, very soon. But that's where we're at with it at the moment. And then over this way, I'm very excited about this too. We've got a brand new shop card. So this is all original art done by yours truly. I'm not an artist, so I've never really drawn before. So, you know, I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but I'm really pleased, guys. I'm really happy with the way it's coming out. It's not, you know, I'm not Picasso or anything over here. I'm just doing some little doodles and sketches, but it's looking pretty cool, man. I'm really pleased with the way it's coming out. It's got a very like old school vibe to it. Even like the Reptoid, like he looks so cool. I love the way he came out. The human looks cool. They all came out really cool. Lots of the enemies came out really neat. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. The shop card. So yeah, we've got the shop card over here. It's looking really good. I've updated that. I've balanced that out quite a bit. Good stuff there. And then on the flip side of the shop card, you've got a brand new addition to the game. I really, really love this. It's an idea that I had just recently, and I implemented it, and it's been working amazingly. So you've got a loot pouch loot table on the top half of the card above the white line. Below the white line on the bottom half, you've got a loot chest loot table, and you'll roll on these loot tables whenever you fight enemies that drop loot pouches or loot chests. For instance, you got the rat here. You can see he drops a loot pouch, and then we've got, let's see if we can find, yeah, like the ghost here. He drops a loot chest. So if you were to defeat a rat, you would roll a d6 on the loot table for the pouch loot table up at the top. And if you roll a 1, you get a coin. If you roll a 2, you get a random common loot. So you'd roll for the common loot table, and you'd get one of the 6 random common loot over here. If you roll a 3, you get a food. If you roll a 4 or a 5, you get a random potion. That's what the little gray potions are. So then you would roll a d6, and you'd get one of the 6 random potions. And then if you roll a 6 on the pouch loot table, you get +1 oil. You find a little oil flask. And then same thing for the chest. If you defeat an enemy like the ghost and he's got a loot chest, same deal. If you roll a 1 on the loot chest, you get an uncommon loot. So a little bit better. You get 2 food in this one. You also have the chance to get a potion. If you roll a 3 or a 4, you have a chance to get an oil as well if you roll a 5. And if you roll a 6, you can get +1 soul fragment. So you'll be able to get one of your soul fragments here. And of course, that's the goal of the game. Every time you get 5 soul fragments and you find a shrine in the dungeon, you can combine those to make a crystal. And once you have 3 crystals, that's how you fight one of the bosses, hopefully defeat them, and then win the game. So yeah, you can get your hands on all of those new little items in these loot tables over here, the pouch and the chest. And yeah, it's looking really good, really clean. I'll also mention too, here in Tabletop Simulator, you're seeing a lot of gray border around the card. Even like for this card, there's a lot of the wall background around the edges on either side. That is all going to get chopped off in production, and they will be shaped like little mint tin size cards. And I've been using the template from the Game Crafters website to make sure that all of the art and everything that I want on the card is within the blue dotted line template that they have. And so all of that, and that dotted line is pretty much like right about where I'm dragging my cursor along. It's right around the bottom, and it comes up around like, you know, right here, right next to all this stuff. So all this extra bit on the card, same on the enemies, all this extra like gray on the sides and the bottom, all that's going to be chopped off. And yeah, it actually frames like right, it curves right around here around the art frame, and it's going to look really clean, really, really nice. Very, very much looking forward to that. So yeah, that's something to look forward to. And I think other than that, that is pretty much it for the updates on Crypt Crawler at the moment, guys. Just to keep you guys in the loop, there's only a few things left to do. So as mentioned, I need to do the artwork for the 4 bosses. That is next up. That is my main priority. I'm going to be doing that very soon, probably within the next couple of days. And then I need to get a rule book together, a nice little concise rule book with everything laid out so that there's no confusion, and you guys can know how to play the game. That might help if you actually know how to play the game. So I need to get a rule book together. Also, I intend on releasing a game mat with the game. So what you're seeing right here is just kind of like a little, you know, temporary mock game mat for me to use within inside Tabletop Simulator. You know, it's got the little slots down here for your gear, your primary hand, your offhand, your helmet, your body armor, your accessories, and any potions that you may have. Those go down here in these slots. Then, you know, it's got slots for your other little decks of cards. We got those labeled, you know, your potions go here and whatnot, all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to make a custom drawn mat for the game that will be sold separately. Of course, you won't need that, but it will be sold separately. And in the rule book, I'll show you kind of how to set up the game, you know, without needing the mat. But the mat is going to be really cool. I love having mats for my games. All the mint tin games and solo player games that I've bought recently that have mats for them, I buy them. It's really cool. It's just, I don't know, there's something about it. It feels complete, feels nice having the mat. Everything's nice and neat. There's no guesswork. It shows you right where everything goes. It's really, really cool. So, you know, obviously there's no obligation to buy that. It won't be a necessity, but for those that do want it, it will be available. So that's something that I'm going to work on. And then last but not least, the tin itself, I need to do artwork for the cover and the back of the tin. So that's pretty much it. Art for the bosses, the rule book, art for the tin, and art for the game mat. Those are the things that are left, but everything else is done. It's taken me a while to get here. Lots of drawing for someone that doesn't draw. So there's a lot of art that took place. That was probably the most, you know, labor intensive part of the process, other than the designing part too, making sure everything's balanced. It's been a lot. It's been a lot going into it, but I am not complaining at all. It has been an absolute pleasure, an absolute joy. I actually have ideas in my head for another game, for 2 other games that I want to start working on once I'm done with Crypt Crawler. So that's getting way ahead of myself, but the point stands that I'm having an absolute blast working on this. It is so fun creating a Mint Tin game and having the challenge of trying to confine a big, expansive adventure within a tiny little Mint Tin. And this game feels big, guys. If you have not played the game, once you get your hands on the game, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that you guys are going to have a similar experience to me. It feels big. It feels like the dungeon is big because there's so many rooms to go in, so many levels with rooms, and there's so many outcomes and events that you can run into, and shops, and there's shrines to combine your crystals, and there's so many stats to track, and loot and potions, and just all kinds of different races you can play as, different classes. It feels very expansive. It doesn't feel overwhelming or convoluted or anything like that. It just feels very big. And I'm very proud of it, and I'm really happy with the way it came out. So that's where we're at currently, man. That's where I'm at currently with Crypt Crawler. If you want to play the game, I will put a link down in the description so that you can go on Steam. If you don't have Tabletop Simulator, I think it's maybe about 15, 20 bucks. I'm not sure what it goes for these days. It's relatively inexpensive. And, you know, if there's like a sale or something going on Steam, which they have those frequently, you can check and see if Tabletop Sim is on sale. So you'd pick up that game and then go to the link down in the description, and that will bring you to the workshop mod for Tabletop Simulator that is going to allow you to play Crypt Crawler within Tabletop Simulator. So, yeah, that's all you got to do. And if you want to join the Discord to come chat with us, discuss the game, play test, and speak with me personally and give me your feedback and suggestions on the game, yep, feel free to do that. You can join the Discord. I'll put the link down in the description for that as well. So there it is, guys. I have a playthrough of the game coming very soon. I did it right here in Tabletop Simulator. I'm going to edit that video shortly after this one, and I'll be uploading that. So look for that within the next day or two after you see this video. And yeah, you'll be able to see the game in action as it is now, up to date with all the current rules and cards and everything. So look forward to that, dudes. And hey, until next time, guys, have a good one. Thank you so much for the support, by the way. I'm so excited about Crypt Crawler. Get excited with me, guys. It is coming very soon. The physical game will be out in the world, existing in your hands to play with the real cards, hopefully very soon. And I don't want to put a time frame on it, but we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully very, very soon in the near future. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, guys. Be sure to like, subscribe, click the bell, and until next time, dudes, see you in the next video.